Hi folks, this is Emilia from Userpilot, and today I'm really happy to see you at our presentation on Product Drive 2021. I will be talking about why NPS is not necessarily a vanity metric and how you can use NPS and microsurveys in order to not only measure your users' sentiment and their level of satisfaction with your product, but also how you can translate these scores into action items that you can basically implement in your product. And then also how you can follow up on these changes that you've introduced and make sure that your users are aware, and then that it translates into increased levels of engagement and user satisfaction. So first of all, if you're watching this now on Product Drive's website, it means that you have not filled in the follow-up application for the live workshop. So, well, unfortunately, this meeting is not interactive. It's being recorded, and you know, basically, you're watching a replay of my live workshop that I'm leading on Zoom. So next time, please read my emails, because I was sending a link to a follow-up application survey in which I was asking you about a few more details, so we can see if basically you're eligible for a live workshop in that, you know, if you have a responsive web app that would allow you to do the tasks that we are doing in the live workshop, well, live. Anyway, let's get into the presentation now. I will be sharing my screen and showing you basically how you can set up an NPS survey without coding easily in Userpilot, and how you can collect follow-up information. So basically ask your users why they chose the score they chose, and also, you know, like what you can do with these scores later. So let me just quickly share my screen. Right, I hope you can see my screen now. Great, I'll just hit present here. And we'll go through my presentation first, and then I will show you how to actually do it. Oh, so some things I will not be able to show you in this recording because of basically personal data protection. So I grade the personal information out in this presentation. So since this is based on real user data, I'm not able to show it to you in the product directly. Okay, so first of all, let's go through the agenda. I will be talking about what NPS is, how it is measured, and why it's considered a vanity metric. Right, then we will talk about the steps you need to take in order to make your NPS useful. So part one, follow up qualitative questionnaire, tagging your responses, that's very important, then segmenting your audience by these responses, and creating follow-up experiences. I will be discussing all this on the basis of post-it case study. And then, well, in our case, we won't move into the workshop, but I will simply do a little demo of how you can do that yourself in Userpilot. Okay, so first of all, what is NPS? Let me just have a sip of water. So NPS stands for Net Promoter Score, and it is a measure of customer satisfaction. NPS comes from this little survey here from 0 to 10, asking how likely your customers are to recommend your product to others based on the scale from 0 to 10. So 0 is not likely at all, and 10 is extremely likely. And now we calculate the NPS scores based on the number of scores from the difference really between the number of scores between 9 and 10 and the number of scores between 0 and 6. So we divide the responses into 3 groups. Scores from 0 to 6 are called detractors, so people who are not likely to recommend your product. 7s and 8s are called passives, so we assume that these people would neither recommend nor not recommend your product. And then finally, we have the promoters, so people who gave you a score of 9 and 10, and these are very likely to promote your product, to basically spread news about it through word of mouth. And this is exactly the kind of users you want to have most of. So basically, we deduct the number of these of detractors really from the number of promoters, and basically represented in terms of percentages, right? So percentage of promoters minus percentage of detractors, it's your NPS score. And the average for SaaS in 2021 was 41. As you can see in the Userpilot, we show your NPS score in the form of a pie chart. So you can see the proportion of promoters versus passives versus detractors. And now the eponymous question, which inspired me to basically do this presentation: why is NPS a vanity metric? So first of all, if you just calculate a score and you compare yourself to other businesses in the SaaS industry, well, it's not very actionable. It doesn't help you a lot. And as you can see from the tweet by Jared Spool, it's sometimes kind of treated as a bragging right. Well, people just brag about it and they don't really do anything about it. So, you know, why would you use a metric that does not allow you to take any action to improve it? It doesn't make sense. Another problem with NPS is that, as with any Likert scale, so this type of statistical method of measuring a level of satisfaction, happiness, yada, 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 people are really terrible at understanding why they're making certain decisions. So why they're choosing, you know, a particular score. So what does a 6 mean? What does an 8 mean, right? What's the difference? And how is the score influenced by, you know, daily fluctuations in people's mood, or, you know, the bad moment, for instance, when the survey was displayed. So let's imagine someone has had like a bad day and then they logged into your product and they came across a bug which annoyed them, and then they gave you an NPS score of 0, even though overall they have been paying for 3 years, they're pretty satisfied, right? So alone, NPS doesn't really tell you much, right? It can skew your perception of how your business is doing, how satisfied your customers are, either in the negative or the positive way. So in order to make any sense from it, you need to follow it up. And I will show you how in a second. Right, so these are basically the steps you need to take in order to actually make some use out of your NPS score. So conduct a follow-up survey, tag your responses by common themes. So me saying feature A, bug B, la-di-da, depending on what kind of answers your users are giving you, of course. Segment your users by themes, and then follow up on these themes with in-app experiences. Okay, so that was like pretty much my whole presentation in a nutshell. Now let's see how to do it. In Userpilot, by default, we set the follow-up micro survey up for you, which is shown directly after someone has given the NPS score. So basically, you can customize this modal, you can customize the copy. I said here, thank you, one more question where you chose the score, and then they have up to 500 words to answer. And then you get these responses, right? And you can basically tag them, which is super useful. In the nearest future, we're already working on an AI solution which will tag these answers for you automatically. So the AI will not only measure sentiment and decide if the response has been positive or negative or neutral, but it will also apply these tags for you automatically. So if, say, 27 of your users have discussed a particular problem in your app, say the direct Instagram scheduling was missing or something was not opening, like let's say they couldn't change the color of the background in a particular modal they were building in your app, right? Then the AI would pick that up and basically tag this with problems changing modal background color, okay? And that way, you can basically look at the qualitative answers in a quantitative way and see if there are any trends, if there are any patterns. So as you can see here, apart from the tags, you also see the average NPS score for this tag, for the segment of users with this tag, the number of responses, and yeah, whether it's a positive or negative score. So then once you have these tags, and here's basically where you can see that I had to gray out the personal data. You can basically filter your responses by the tags, and then you can export them and basically do something actually useful with this segment of users. So if a particular bug has been reported by, say, 13% of your users, and that has resulted in a lower NPS score, like let's say the average NPS in this segment was 6, what you could do is that you could create a follow-up basically experience for these users once you have fixed the bug. So you look at the responses, you see that a particular bug is important because it's affecting the satisfaction of, several users. You fix it, and then you roll out an experience basically notifying the users that were affected by this bug that you have already fixed it. Why is this helpful? Why is doing it like that, so actually asking about the NPS, asking about the follow-up, tagging the response, and then rolling out the modal instead of just fixing the bug and rolling out the modal to everyone and sending everyone, all the users, an email? Well, first of all, when you run the NPS survey, you see the impact of certain problems on your users, right? So the users will be reporting bugs anyway. There will be a lot of them. Well, this is software. It's not, it's inevitable basically that some problems or bugs will occur. But by virtue of the NPS survey, you can see how these bugs actually affect user satisfaction. And then when you segment the users and when you roll out these experiences only for the affected users, you don't inundate the other users that have maybe not even been aware of this bug and that it didn't really bother them at all with unnecessary announcements in-app. As you know, in-app modals, slide outs, announcements in general are a bit frustrating and annoying because they interrupt the user's flow. So you may want to limit yourself really to the users whom the changes concern, right? So, and then what you can also do is you can track how many users engaged with the modal, and then you can roll out the NPS survey, say, in 3 months' time, only to the group of users that has been affected by the bug, and see if removing the bug and fixing the issue they reported has had an impact on their overall satisfaction through the next NPS survey. Okay, so in the case of Postfitty is a social media scheduler that I'm mentioning a lot in my content for Userpilot because I used to work with them and we're still on really good terms. It's basically a small tool like Buffer that allows users to schedule posts to their social media. And for a pretty long time, Instagram had closed its API, so Userpilot could not add direct publishing to Instagram from desktop. There was a workaround with a mobile app, but it was pretty annoying. So the users were often reporting this missing feature when giving Postfitty a low NPS score. So basically, a few months ago, Instagram rolled this feature out and they actually reopened their API. So Postfitty could get access to direct Instagram publishing, and they did, in fact, introduce it. So what they did was that they tagged the NPS responses, they segmented the users, and they targeted this user segment that was especially upset about missing direct Instagram publishing with an email campaign and an in-app modal, which you could see in my previous slide. Right, oops, not this one. I went too far. This one, right? So this is exactly the slide out that announced Instagram direct publishing, and there was a CTA button here leading the users to convert their account into one that allows direct publishing. Okay, and now, okay, I went too far again, right. So basically this helped them improve the NPS score in this particular segment, and you can do that too very easily. Now I will show you how easy it is to set up an NPS survey in Userpilot. Okay, let me exit my presentation. Okay, so here we are in Userpilot. You should have gotten a trial link if you filled up the follow-up application. But anyway, you can sign up for Userpilot trial. I can send you the link if you're interested in that. Just email me at Emilia with an E, so that's Emilia at userpilot.co, and I will email you a link to an extended free trial, especially for Product Drive attendees. But anyway, you basically go to Userpilot, you click on NPS here, and opens the NPS dashboard. And here you can see I just launched the survey a moment ago, so there are still no scores. But essentially, when you go into the editing mode, sorry, that's my screen. I should do it like full screen. Give me a second. Okay, cool. I'm clicking on edit NPS, and that's what it looks like. You can change between the light and dark theme. You can change the color of the survey, right? So quite easily. Okay. Let's leave it like this. And then you can also see the follow-up survey here in content, right? You can customize. You can customize the copy here. So say add thank you. You can add emojis to it, right? It all appears on the preview here in real time, right? And basically that's it. And then you can go to the settings and decide on targeting. And this is quite important because you don't want to roll it out to all users. You want to choose a specific segment. So in this case, we want to choose new signups, right? So in our case, it will be probably people signing up who have signed up less than 30 days ago. Sorry, we want to exclude them, right? Because they don't know the software well enough to be able to say if they like it or not, and to give a meaningful response to the follow-up survey. And then in targeting, you can adjust your frequency, so how often you show the survey to people. And if the user dismisses the survey, you can basically adjust how often they see it again. And sampling, so what percentage of users will see NPS on any given day. Yeah, so I am increasing it now so we can see it. Oops, my light has gone off. Sorry, I knew it would happen. My presentation runs over. All right, and that's basically it. I'm just going to click on publish changes and exit the full screen. Okay, right, and now it's launched here on Backlink Manager. So if we click out from here, I'm not a new user, so I should be shown the survey pretty soon. Let me have a look at the targeting here. Right. I might have already answered it. Oh no, here it is. Right, so you can see it exactly as we adjusted it. Let me give this a 9. You can see the copy that I just adjusted here. Useful for storing backlinks. Okay, I'm just making this up. Thank you for the feedback. Right, and now we should be able to see in the responses when we exit basically the editing mode. Sorry, Zoom is getting into my way. Okay, let's go back to NPS here. Might take a few minutes for the responses to come through. Let's see. Yeah, it's probably taking about 10 minutes for the servers to update here. So there is a bit of a delay in the responses. But yeah, this is essentially where you will find them, and you would be able to tag them that this response related to backlinks. And that's pretty much all I wanted to tell you today about redefining NPS and using it successfully to gather useful information from your users and correlating it, cross-referencing it with the levels of user satisfaction, and then actually using the follow-up responses for something actionable to basically improve your app, improve your product, improve your user satisfaction, and then let them know about it. If you have any questions, here is my email. I would love to hear from you if you have ever used NPS and if it has proven useful to you. And yeah, hopefully I will see you in Userpilot. Thanks again and have a great day. Bye-bye.